Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Enlightened Path podcast. I'm here today with Dianna Foxcroft, very, very long time sister. And I'm excited that she's here because we were just talking about how some people take gap years or whatever you want to call it from social media, and she's done that. So she's back now, and I'm sure she's got lots to share with us. So let me tell you a little bit about her. A lot of people call her the mystic spirit. She's an artesian, an artist, an energy healer, and an intuitive reader. And she just wants to talk to us today about just being yourself, and that it's okay to take time off for yourself if you need to. So welcome, Dianna. I'm so glad that you joined us and
Thank you
that
for
you're coming back
having me.
into the circle. So we were talking, even before I hit record, we were talking about taking a gap year off. So do you feel okay in talking to us about what happened, why you did it, and how it can help other people to do that?
Absolutely. Well, I mean, it has happened before in the past, and anyone else that does what we do, the energy healing and the readings, I'm sure you've experienced almost like a writer's block, almost like you need to take a pause. Things may not be coming out of your mouth right, or it just doesn't feel like things are flowing, and that's kind of the signal that it's time to take a little pause. Well, this last one was a year long, right at a year, and I could almost tell you where I was standing and what I was doing when I physically felt things being turned back on. I could feel it physically, mentally, emotionally, like, and coming back on. In the past, when I've had a little, I call it a spirit timeout. Um, I would fight it, and I would be like, oh, what's wrong with me? What's happening? What have I done something wrong? In this last big, huge break, I I realized I just had to surrender to it, just let go and just surrender to it, and realize that change and transformation can be uncomfortable sometimes. So once I finally let go and just surrendered to it and thought it'll come back when it's supposed to come back, and then it did. So it's okay to take those breaks. In fact, you need to take those breaks. There's some sort of a change, a transformation, even as you and I have discussed years and years ago, almost a leveling up,
Yeah.
so to speak. And that's what I feel like
Well,
was going on.
yeah, because we get so, I mean, some of us tend to get so immersed into service, right?
Yes.
That we forget to take care of ourselves. And I've seen those times where uh, there's no activity, right? The clients aren't coming, the sales aren't coming, the ideas aren't coming, and uh, most of us fight that. Most of us fight that and go, okay, well, I've got to get things going again. I've got to start manifesting. I've got to start creating. I've got to find new ways to network and advertise myself. And I've got to get some money flowing here. Most of us do that. And so I applaud you for being one that goes, okay, universe, I surrender. What is it that you want me to do? Where am I going to go from here? How am I going to rebuild myself? What are you going to do for me? So I'm not everybody can and will do that. So yeah. So what happened during that year? Tell us what happened.
Well, I kept trying. In the beginning, I kept trying. I kept trying to have
Hmm.
sessions, and I kept telling, myself, and even, Wanda Turbyfield. I was working with her out at the retreat, and I kept saying, I feel like I need to stop. And I kept trying to do sessions. Well, they would cancel, or, maybe one or two would feel really good and feel like I'm supposed to be doing this, but it just wasn't working out. So I took a big break. I went off and painted houses and cabinets and furnitures and was a handyman for a good long while. And then went on to work at a homeless shelter, a local homeless shelter. And I'm not at liberty to say which one or where.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah, no. Yeah.
can't do that for privacy and security reasons. But had everything been turned on with spirit, I couldn't have done that. But I could tell you, that's when I could tell you months into it, oh goodness, it's back on. And now I'm around this community, feeling their loved ones and feeling their anxiety and all of that. So I could tell it was time to maybe kind of step back into my role of my purpose of serving people in another way. But I seem to always want to be in a service industry of some sort. But I could
Yeah,
tell it was
because it was,
time.
yeah, it was still service, wasn't it?
Oh yes,
Yeah,
definitely.
in a different way though.
In a
Yeah, but
different way.
it was still providing a service that people needed. Yeah.
And your intuition, you can't really completely turn it off. So your intuition and those things are still gonna be there. Um, but as far as feeling people's loved ones and hearing messages, that was turned off. And I think it needed to be during that time. Absolutely. But it was the first time um, in my life that I didn't beat myself up over it, over, why is this happening? I just knew that there was some bigger reason. I just needed to chill out and ride
Yeah.
the wave.
Well, are you still making jewelry and those kind of creations for people?
Yes. And that's where I feel that there has been a shift. And I like to say shift happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. My jewelry before I took the big time out was more demanding. I was doing like custom orders and doing things like that, which I loved. But I needed to get back to creating because I felt like creating that day. Not to make money. Of course, money is important. We have to have it, but not have that mindset of I need to create this so I can make some money. In the early
Right.
stages of making jewelry, there would be times, I was a single mom, as long as you've known me, that I'd be like, oh, I have this bill. I have to create these things and post it. None of that would sell. But then I'd get a message from someone saying, this thing you made 6 months ago, I want that.
Right.
So we think we're in charge is the
We're not. Yeah, we are
we're
not.
really not.
Yeah.
So I
Because
am practicing.
yeah, because I've kind of done the same thing. I was setting up at vendor shows, selling the drums, the rattles, the fans, and uh, I started out just with the drums, and then someone said, "Hey, do you know anybody who's making smudge fans?" Well, yes, I know how to make those. And so then I started making smudge fans, and then someone said, "Hey, do you know anybody who makes the rattles?" Well, I know how, and so I thought, well, okay, I'll start providing that, and it just became an assembly line,
Yeah,
right? Because I don't like to, like you, I don't duplicate anything. And so it became more of a need than a creative process, a need to a need to have enough product to put on a table for a vendor show. So then it became, okay, I have to create this. I have to do this. I have to do this. And so kind of like you recently, I just said, you know what? I don't have to. I
yeah,
don't have to. And so um, August is going to be the last vendor show that I set up, hauling all that stuff down there, and I'm just going to do readings. I'm just going to do light language
yeah.
transmissions. And so, yeah, so sisters in alignment, right?
Yes,
So I've just decided also I'm going to do things that are easier. I'm just going to let things flow the way they're supposed to flow.
yes.
So have you gone back to offering sessions though? What has changed since you came back? What did you let go of other than the need to create? But what else did you let go of?
Um, you know, not getting out there and like saying, hey, and I know it's important to do this sometimes, but not be advertising and all of this. It's gonna come. It's gonna come. Just recently, someone messaged me, "Are you doing Reiki sessions and readings?" Well, yes, I am. I knew that was from spirit. That I knew that when the time was right, I would get someone would contact me and say, "Hey, I'd like," and I would feel that. I would feel that, and I think that's the difference. So I'm not out there pounding the pavement and flashing lights and open for business. I think the people are going to come that are supposed to come, and I'm just surrendering to that.
I really loved it. You have such a unique style. And so when you and I would set up at vendor events, you would bring your teepee tent, and you would set it up almost, like with rugs and pillows. And it was just all so cozy and so magical. So do you think you're going to be doing that anymore?
Absolutely. I have my TP. I have a new and improved one. That was part of the message from Spirit. The one I had, I went out there and someone had left it open. It had flooded. It was destroyed. Everything in there that I had collected for years, destroyed. And I just had to throw it all away. And I was like, all right,
Ah,
I see you. I see
how
you.
disheartening. Yeah.
It was, but I could still, again, I could see what was happening. I could see the bigger picture. So I have a new one now from my magical daughter. She just gave me a new one, and I'm going to slowly but surely build that back up. And I would like to go and do readings and sessions. I was just thinking of this the other day. You sent me to a life changing event, and I thought you were going too. And then you said, you know what, sister, it's not for me. Medicine for the people,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
medicine for the people. That's a whole other day's worth of discussion of the journey for me to get there, and things were happening all the way there. But when I got
Yeah.
there, it had a storm came through, and you've not been in a storm until you've been on a mountain in a teepee alone. Alone. Everyone else had someone. I was alone. Um, and the next day I was furious because I thought I spent all this money to get here. I bought all these things, and and now no one can even come in here. And I was mad. And I never get mad. I was mad. I was stomping around the next day, just mad. And then I started looking around and went, wait a second. I'm on a mountain on like sacred ground. I can hear water running. I mean, mind you, it was a flash flood running by, but water running, nature. And someone came up and said, "Can you do a reading?" And I was like, "Oh, okay." Had to snap me out of it. And then she was like, "And do you barter?" And I was like, "Yes, sure, I'll barter." That was the most profound reading I've ever given and been a part of in my life. So it was spirit saying, none of this other stuff matters. It doesn't matter. None of this matters. This is why you came here, was
Yeah.
to do this, to do these readings. And then it was just tremendous. Turns out it wasn't really flash flood. It was probably like this, but in my mind, I thought I was trapped and stuck. But yeah, so getting back to the basics, I think, getting back to what I'm really supposed to be doing and not all this other in demand things like we talked about.
It's all a program. It's all a program that we have to be productive and creative and that we have to bring in this much money. It's a program that we all buy into, you
Yes.
know, and it's reinforced by the bill collectors.
Yes.
But so medicine for the people has really grown. I mean, I think the one that you went to one of the first ones.
It
It
was.
was early. It was really early in the history of that. But they have really, I think they're doing it twice a year now. And yeah, I still haven't been to one, but I get lots of feedback from people who go that they really enjoy it. They make great contacts. They make new star families, so to speak.
Yes, it was life changing.
Yeah,
It was life changing. I was supposed to be there, and the obstacles I went through to get there were crazy. But I
yeah,
could. It was more of overcoming fears. Every fear I've ever had presented itself between where I live and that mountain. So,
yeah.
so
Because it was like, what is it, like a 4 hour drive, 5 hour? How long was it?
it took me 6 hours.
6 hour drive. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
over everything I'm afraid of. Everything. So overpasses, driving over water, driving through water, all kinds of things. But I did it, and it was life changing. And
Yeah.
you've really been pivotal to my whole transformation since the beginning. I don't know if you want me saying that or not, but you
Well,
have.
and vice versa, in a lot of ways. Yeah. So what's next for you? Do you think, have you gotten any insight on what's next?
Nope.
Yeah, just
Just gonna show up and just ride the wave and try to ignore the barking dog that is my ego and um just show up for the position that I feel like I'm supposed to be doing, what I'm supposed to be doing, really. So that's my plan, is to not have a plan, really.
have you, I forget, did you ever teach Reiki? Have
Yes,
you ever taught Reiki?
yes, I have.
So so source is telling me that the brand of Reiki that you do is a little bit different. And I know from experience, I stopped teaching Reiki because I was no longer teaching Reiki, right?
Yes,
And so so I stopped doing that because I felt a little guilty. But they're telling me that what you bring is a little not different. It's Reiki, but that you have more to share. They're telling me that, where there's traditional Reiki, that you teach the principles of
right.
Doctors Yasui and Mrs. Is it Tanaka? Tanaka. Um, you're going to bring in another aspect of using the intuition, right? You're going to bring in another aspect of listening to the body in particular. So I didn't know that, but you can hear the body. See, I,
Yes,
I didn't know that, but they're telling me that you can hear the body. The body tells you what's wrong with it. So they're telling me that you maybe should consider teaching again and teaching people how to connect in with the intuition of listening to the body.
yes. Of course, you should always use the symbols in beginning and throughout. But exactly what you're saying, it was transforming into something else that doesn't really. If I said what I do, it doesn't sound like Reiki anymore. In fact, it almost seems um uh silly to say the name with it, because it's not, that's not quite what it is. That's the maybe the foundation of it. uh I mean,
So,
are you,
so there,
what's
my
happening?
beings have my beings have this wicked sense of humor. Okay, so I'm probably going to get in a lot of trouble for saying this
Bring it
by
on.
my Reiki friends, but they're telling me to call it twisted Reiki.
Oh, no, I like that.
Twisted, twisted Reiki. Like I said, I may get in a lot of trouble from my traditional Reiki relatives, but I can only tell you what they're saying.
Yeah,
Yeah, twisted Reiki.
I
I
like
love it
that.
though.
I like that. But that's the thing. That's what has happened. It has changed. It's transformed. And one thing I've been realizing over this last big time out is it's okay to not do things the way everyone else is doing it. That's how
Yeah.
change happens, and
Yeah.
leveling up and transformation. That's how that happens. So I don't do it that way, even in my readings. And, sometimes I use oracle cards. If you were to have that book of the oracle deck that I use, none of those cards mean what it says in the book anymore. In fact, I'm
Right.
thinking of making my own deck, thinking of
Well,
creating my own.
bec- well, I mean, think about this, sister. So when that deck was created and when Reiki was developed, and it was developed, okay,
Yes,
when those were developed and created, the frequency was here, right? This was the frequency, and the reason that they were created was to raise the frequency,
yes,
not to keep it the same. And so, of course, the frequency is this high now,
yes,
right? And so, I mean, I agree with people who believe that they should keep traditions the same. There's a reason for needing a base,
yes.
right? A base of traditions and disciplines, if you want to call it that. And I suck at disciplines. The Aries in me just goes, "You want me to do what?" And so I mean, I totally agree. That's why I stopped teaching anybody else's system, because I wasn't teaching their system,
Yeah,
because their system was created when the frequency was here, and now the frequency is here, and to keep teaching that frequency is, to me, is limiting.
yes,
And I'm sorry for all my relatives out there that created these amazing systems, but they need to, what would you call it, elevate. They need to expand,
yes.
you know, they
And
really need
evolve and
to.
change. I don't even do the same, and I haven't for years, do the same hand placements. So then, like you were saying, for me to teach the original, almost feels like I'm being inauthentic, unauthentic.
Right.
But I don't even do the same. Um, I mean, generally I do, but I don't do it the way it's taught in the book anymore. And a
Right.
reason for that was for years I did this at assisted living, and you have 15 minutes with the person. So you can't, you know, do all the in a row. You don't have time for
Yeah.
that. And at events, you have 20, 30 minutes. You don't have
Right.
time to, but guess what? It still works. And I had too many sessions that would say that it still works. And with
Right. Right.
animals, I love doing this with animals. You just have a few minutes, however long they're going to allow you in their energy, because they're
Because
in time.
they don't. Yeah. Animals, I mean, humans, it's maybe an hour, 45 minutes, an hour session. Animals, after 5 minutes max, they're usually like, "Get off of me."
Yeah,
And babies too, they're like,
yeah,
"Get off of me. Don't touch me. I'm done." You
yeah.
know? Yeah.
Even assisted living, they just get their little walker and walk off. I guess we're
Right.
done.
Right. Yeah. It's
But I
like,
knew that.
"I'm done. That was enough."
Yeah,
Yeah. So, yeah, I do hope that you come, because they're just telling me that you have this new expanded um connection now, a new expanded understanding, they're saying, to what's required, and you've learned to let go of the ego. Some of us have never learned to let go of the ego, you know. They're still stuck in those patterns of, "I have to do it this way," and I'm so glad that you listened, you know.
yes, yes. I think another big part of it, sister, is over this last year, I've settled into the fact that I'm now in the crone phase, and I'm okay with that. I don't
Yeah.
really care if I have my face fixed and my hair done a certain way and my clothes a certain way. I don't really care anymore. Like, I'm just surrendering to that too. So I don't feel like I have to look a certain way. And do things a certain way. I'm in the crone phase. I'm just going to go with that.
Yeah. Yeah. One of my heroes is Frankie on Frankie and Grace. Lily Tomlin. She's one of
Oh,
my heroes. Yeah, she just dresses however the hell she wants to, and
yeah.
says whatever she wants to. I want to be her when I grow up.
I had someone the other day. I just went in the gas station for a second, dressed in whatever, and a construction worker said, "I like your swag. I like your swag. Yeah, this going on. I like your swag." And I don't know what all. I think I had this craziness going on, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that.
My daughter used to tell me, I mean, this is a little off the subject, but not. She used to tell me, Mom, she said, when I would dress up and go to the grocery store or whatever, she said, nobody would even look at me. She said, but let me go to the grocery store with no makeup on, my hair looking all crazy, dressed however. She said, I got so much attention. She said, I got proposals for dates. Just,
Yeah.
in other words, when you're being your authentic self, you
Yes.
know, is when you're out there, you
Yes.
know. But
I, I think that's what's important. I think that's one of the biggest things I've learned in this big, huge timeout. I wasn't being punished, but I
right.
needed to sit
Yeah.
back and pay and just see what spirit had going on and getting back to basics and getting back to even some of the meditations that I started with years ago, getting back to that, getting grounded, and staying away from what is not serving my highest good.
Right. Right. Mhm. And some of that is even clients, I mean, sometimes we attract people who need with a capital NEED. And so they just get attached to us because we kind of hit on that a little bit earlier. And because I was telling you, people were contacting me looking for you when you took this year, this time off.
Yes.
And I'm like, she's off doing her thing. I mean, she'll resurface,
Yep.
and when well, tell her that I'm looking for her. Tell her that, I'm worried about her. And I said, she's just fine. I'm sure she's fine. She's
Yep.
just taking some time off. But sometimes you have to do that. You have to clean the closet,
Yes.
even on your circle and even your client base, um, because they often get so dependent on their practitioners. They become dependent on you, and that's not empowering, when they become dependent on you. So I'm glad that you took this time to, they're saying, clean the cobwebs out because of the green witch in you. So cleaning the cobwebs out.
That's why I'm
Yeah,
outside right now doing this in 200
that's
degrees,
right. Yeah.
but that's where I needed to
Burning
be.
sage. You've got sage going, right?
Mhm. My little baby chimney
Yeah.
right here, right here.
Yeah.
I feel better now. I feel more clear and like it was never completely turned off, but I was just supposed to stop
Right.
doing it and
It's
use my
3:33, by the way.
oh, is it? That's magical.
As you said that, it was
Oh,
3:33. As you said, I
oh,
just took some time off. I never lost it, you said. Yeah. So that was the confirmation because you said I never lost the connection. I just
right,
took some time off. So, yeah.
right.
So do you notice that your connection is deeper since you took that time out and you disconnected from everything that was um, pulling on you, so to speak?
Oh, definitely. Definitely. Yeah, I would say that the messages are more solid, and what I hear and what I feel, um, it's more solid, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think anytime you hit the reset button, right? So when you hit the reset button, you let go of those prior programs and um, connections, and you're very good at cutting cords. And so, you let go of all of that, all of the siphons, all of the hooks, all of the, you know, all that stuff that you were carrying around on you.
Yeah.
You let go of all that whenever what not everybody does, but you manage to let go of all that stuff that was pulling on your energy.
Yes, because I
So
could feel it.
kudos.
I could feel the drain. It's so funny. Right as soon as you said that, I was thinking in my mind that's what this was one big, huge cord cutting, and I had to completely stop. I even tried to go a little bit, keep going with sessions, even though I didn't quite feel right in the beginning of this. And Spirit gave me poison ivy, so I had to like.
So
I was
you
like,
couldn't touch
okay,
anybody.
you're being funny now. Because I had already started painting. I was showing up to sessions with paint all over me and in my hair and all over my clothes. It was pretty
Yeah.
awesome, but under my nail. But I kept trying just a little bit. And then Spirit was like, I said no. And
Yeah,
gave me
that's
poison
funny.
ivy, even though I wasn't around any. So I don't know how that happened. But
You became poison to your clients, right?
yes, yes,
Allergic to your clients. I guess not
yes.
poison, but yeah, you became allergic to your clients.
Maybe I was detoxing. It was coming up and out.
Yeah, yeah, that too. So if you had to give someone advice, right? People who are, well, I mean, okay. So if you were going to talk to someone, you were going to say, these are the signs that you need to disconnect. This is what you need to do. I'm going to shut up and you just do that.
I would say really you can feel it. You can feel it in your body, and you can feel that this doesn't feel right. I really am supposed to stop. Even like when I would say the things that I guess I've been saying for years, certain phrases and certain things in a reading. When you watch some of the ones on TV and they have certain, this is my symbol for this and this is my symbol for that. Well, I had some of that going on too. And when it would come out my mouth, it just didn't feel right anymore. It just didn't fit anymore. It didn't feel right even coming out of my mouth. I would say that's a big sign. Also, just feeling very drained um, from I think all the hooks that were in me, all the my energy was getting drained. And like you said, like people were hooking in and wanting to come see me, and even when I felt like a session wasn't right and I did it anyway, it just didn't feel right. So listen to that and honor that. It's time to you're not being punished. You've done nothing wrong. It's time for you to maybe go back in the cocoon or go into a cocoon and rebuild that and then come out on the other side. So paying attention to how it feels when you're doing that, when you're trying to do sessions or it just doesn't feel right. Pay attention to that and honor that. Honor that. You're not in trouble. You're not in trouble. Let go of the reins. Just let go and ride the wave and surrender to it, really. It'll be okay.
Yeah. So some people, so there are different processes. So some people, when they do that, when they do a reset, some people will uh, go on spirit quest of sort, right? And you did that, but you did that through physically working your body, right?
Yes.
Doing you said painting and
I was
other
painting
stuff.
houses.
So yeah, so yours was a physical, right? Some people will do yoga or, go on a, what do you call it? Silent retreat.
Mhm.
So some people will pull from, some of our sisters will cut themselves off Facebook, whatever. They'll do a detox, social detox is what they call it. But so there are different ways to doing it, right? I mean, yours was physical. You threw yourself into being creative. You were still being creative,
Yeah.
and you were still being of service
Yeah.
because you were doing things for people that they either couldn't do, didn't have time to do, or didn't want to do, right? Like, I need to paint, but I don't want to do it. Sometimes you pay people to do things that you just don't want to do.
Yeah.
And so is there anything else that you would advise people?
Um, I did do a social media detox. I did get off of there. And
Uh-huh.
I am not back on there in full force like I used to be. I will get on there for just a little bit when I feel like it. I don't get on there because I feel like I have to show up and have to make a presence. So when I am there, I'm there and very present. So social detox um, was one of them, and going and painting the houses. I was in an empty house, big 2-story house out in the country by myself, 8-10 hours a day. There was a lot of healing in there. So it sort of
Mm-hmm.
was like a spiritual silent retreat. A lot of healing there and a lot of things happen with that. So I'm not sure if that answers the question. But
Okay, so they want me to point out to you that you're a spirit worker. Okay, you're an energy healer, spirit worker. So you're in this big 2-story house, totally empty, out in the country.
yes.
Do you really think you were just painting that house?
No, because I dream about it. And actually I got goosebumps when you said that.
I, you were clearing the land. You were bringing
Oh,
healing to the ancestral,
oh wow.
the ancestral DNA there. You were clearing, you were cutting cords, you were releasing spirits you were releasing energetic imprints that were there, and you were bringing light and new energies into that home for someone else, right?
Oh
You were doing a
wow.
lot of work. You weren't just out there painting stuff, you
No.
know? Yeah.
No. Wow, I didn't really think of it that way. I just knew that there was healing going on. So maybe it
Yeah.
just wasn't just for me. And to be out there by myself in the country with no one else around would normally be kind of scary and horrifying. Like some of the doors didn't lock. Someone could have been sleeping in there, or whatever. But I went in there and just loved that house and that land and that property and just yeah, baseboards, trim cabinets, everything, and just love. I loved it. I gave it love. I gave it love. So that's so funny you say that. I really didn't think of it like that.
I I wonder, do you know the people who are living? Is someone living in it now?
No, they were originally going to make it an Airbnb, but I don't know that that happened. I don't know that that happened, and I dream about that house, being in that house.
I
Have,
wonder, you can only imagine what someone would feel when and if they ever moved into that house, right? Because of you did all the clearings, you loved the house as you said, so you filled
yes,
that house with love. I mean, you drop codes all over that place, you know? So,
I didn't know.
yeah. I can only imagine what a blessing that house and the land, would be now for anybody that takes it on.
Well, I would go out there and sit.
You provided a huge service, a huge service.
Wow.
Yeah.
Didn't even think of it like that. There were donkeys out there. I would show up with carrots
Yeah.
and just sit on the ground on my break and just, I loved that land and the house and the property. And I covered every square inch. There's a huge butterfly this big trying to join us. Since I'm outside, but I loved it. And it shows up in my dreams and I can tell it's not a dream. Like it's more like vision for some reason.
Do you think that maybe you need to cut cords with that house though, and
Maybe I
and
loved
and
it.
release it because you kind of connected to it, right?
I
You
did.
made it yours in some way. And I wonder if unless you plan on selling the one you're in and moving out there, but
No, no, I can't do that. But and I don't know what's happened with it, but that's a good idea. Yeah, I can see that.
to just maybe you need to disconnect from it.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That was
But
in the
what a great service. I mean, what if that's your next assignment, right? Is to do that for other places.
perhaps, perhaps. I like that. I
It's
like that.
pretty physical though. That's the only thing. It's very physical, you know?
Oh, I enjoyed it so much.
Yeah. That's crazy. I can see you out there, wild woman.
Yes,
Yeah. That had to be a great experience.
it
But I can
really
see you doing more of that,
did.
doing nature stuff.
I think nature is a big part of who I am. I
Hmm.
try to create inside, and it just does not work. I have everything out here. I have all my jewelry, creating stuff, and it's hot. It's hot out here, but this is where I
Yeah.
have to be, and this is where I'm happiest. The house really doesn't matter a whole lot to me. It's just being outside, and the elements
Yeah.
is very important to me. There's so
Well,
much, you know.
have you thought about going back to medicine for the people?
Um, You know, I've missed it since COVID. I haven't gotten to go. Someday, someday, not just yet. Someday, it's quite the journey.
I think at some point I'll go and attend one, but yeah, it's not on my immediate list.
Yeah, I've made some forever friends there, longtime friends that I still talk to, and
Hmm.
but it was all about facing fears and realizing what I was really there for,
Yeah.
and that I wasn't on my own because I was feeling sad that everyone had, you know, a spouse or a girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever, and children running around everywhere. And you just think I'm a hippie. You should have seen this place. But
Yeah.
I really wasn't alone at all. So it was life
Yeah.
changing.
Yeah. We're never really alone anyway. I mean, even physically, we're never really alone.
Mhm.
Well, what is there anything else you want to share with us? Is there anything popping
Um,
in your brain?
just be yourself. Be yourself. You don't have to you know, so many times I've had people say, oh, you know, how do I do this or how do I do that? Or, and a lot of times I'll say, you know, you don't really need anyone else to communicate with your loved ones. That they hear you, they're right there. Just when you're driving and when you're doing dishes and when you're doing all of that, you really don't need that. Just get quiet and listen and just be yourself. Be yourself. Don't try to. A lot of times in my creating, I would see someone else doing something and, oh, that looks like that's a hit. Maybe I should do that. That never worked for me because then I'm not being me. So same thing with doing the readings and doing sessions and Reiki. If I'm trying to, and even in just a regular job, just a regular 9 to 5 job, anytime I try to do it exactly the way someone else would do it and not in my own way, like in dealing with some of our homeless individuals, when I tried to talk with them in the way that I was being trained to talk with them, does not work. But when I would talk to them in my own way, you know, then there was a difference. There was a big difference. And you could see the shift in their energy.
What's the authenticity, right? I mean,
Yes,
people want you to be authentic.
yes. And genuine and loving and genuinely care. And they
Hmm.
can feel if you don't.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And when someone has lost everything, they need to feel that somebody genuinely cares.
Yeah.
So maybe I've been doing some clearing and healing at that location as well, sister.
Well, so Reiki is not hands on. Remember,
Yes.
Reiki is not just hands on. So yeah, I'm quite sure that everywhere you go, everywhere, to the market, to the post office, to, doing work with homeless, to your assignments, whatever the assignment is, you're taking all of you there. You're not leaving some of you behind at the house,
Yeah.
you're taking all of you, and all of you, is present, and that includes emitting energy healing frequencies, and frequencies of empowerment. I think that you do a lot of empowering people, you do a lot of making people feel loved and seen, as you say. And in that they feel empowered. They don't feel as though they're less than. They don't feel as though um, they have nothing to contribute, because
Right.
everybody has something to contribute. So,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
yeah, they say that you do that no matter where you go. Diana shows up, the mystic spirit shows up wherever you are. And guess what? You don't have to do anything, you know,
I'll just show up, sister.
just show up.
I think that was the whole point of getting back to the timeout. I think that was the whole thing. Stop trying so hard. Maybe that's
Yeah.
a big message here is stop trying so hard. We're not in
Hmm.
charge. Just show up for the assignment.
Yeah, because you were still being of service. You were still doing healing work. You were still being creative. I mean, those are your base gifts to humanity, right? Your base gift to humanity is your love, your openness, your creativity, and your service. And you are a prime example of doing that. No matter what, if whether you step out of officially doing readings or officially doing Reiki or whatever, counseling, mentoring, teaching, you're still doing it. You thought you weren't doing it.
That's
The
the joke
beings are
here.
rolling around on my the beings are rolling around on my floor right now. So you thought that you were taking a year off and you weren't doing that anymore, but you were
Yeah,
still doing it.
that's kind of funny now. Now that you say it like that, it's kind of funny.
Yeah. You're reinventing yourself.
Yes, yes. And it was time.
Yeah. Well, that was great. Well, I've enjoyed catching back up with you. I'm glad that you have popped your head back up, so to
Yes.
speak. Um, but like I said, I totally understand people who who have to withdraw from the public, from the social platforms. I totally understand that. And I've considered it a lot of times, and I do it in my own way too. I mean, I do it. I just stop posting for a while, or, you know, it's tiring.
Yes. Yes.
So any last advice for people who are watching? For the people, because I think you mentioned that people were asking you, when is this going to be on? What, where can I watch it? So
Yes.
for those people, do you have any advice for them?
Just do you. Just do you. And if you feel like you need to stop, then you're supposed to stop and surrender to it. It'll be okay.
Yeah.
It'll be okay. And you can't completely turn it off. Evidently, things are still going on. So
Yeah. Yeah.
try not to just
Because you're
surrender to it.
you, no matter which way you turn, you're still you.
Yes. Yes. And why would you want to be anyone else?
Yeah.
That role's already taken. So just be yourself.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to stop the recording then if you don't have anything else.
I
You
think
sure?
that's it.
Last chance.
I don't know. I think that's it. Just do you. Just do you. It'll
Yeah.
be okay. Spirit's in charge.
Yeah. Well, I want to thank everybody who's watching, Dianna, and I'm going to post. Is it okay in the episode link? I usually give links for people, ways to contact them and stuff. Are we listing any links for you? Are you still trying to just kind of sit back and regroup?
I still have my Mystic Spirit group on Facebook. For some reason,
Okay.
I can't figure out Instagram. I've tried TikTok. I don't know. I still just keep falling back to that. Eventually, I'll have a website. I haven't done that yet. So, so just my Mystic Spirit group on Facebook is where you can find me.
Okay. All right. No email. You don't want to give out an
My
email?
name, yeah, Dianna Foxcroft at Gmail.
Okay. All right.
That'll work. Just gonna be me.
Well, I'll put those links on the episode so that if people want to reach out to you, they can. I mean, who knows? Somebody may reach out to you and want you to come talk to their group,
Or paint their house.
paint their house, love on their house and their property. They may want that.
Maybe.
So thank you everybody for joining us and listening to our rambling and our craziness, which is wherever I go, it's one of those things that never leaves me. And so, um, if you would please follow so that you get a notice every time we have a new podcast. I do have we had a slow month in June, I think, maybe not, but I do have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I have 8 people scheduled to come on the podcast, so there's going to be new ones. And so be sure and click follow so you get notifications when a new upload is here. And if you want to be a guest on the podcast, then reach out to me because I'm always wanting people to share, right? So thank you, sister. I love you tons and tons.
I love you so much.
And give my granddaughter a big hug for me.
Will do.
And
Will
I
do.
will, I'm going to stop the recording.